Hello and welcome back to this week's Guild Event Planner. I am Gar'Nok, Guild Leader of Loot and Plunder. This week's focus is on the lore, fire, whatever type of event it is. It's not the usual tower thing. It's this whatever mess this is. And we are using Orcs this week, which do not have that many great options, but it does have a few. And after running the numbers, here are the results. This is the team I plan on using, at least for the beginning. I may change things up later on, but so far, I think this team will do me well. The key things really are, the Orc is going to be your damage and your mana. Gets a bunch of attack, and then enrages himself. So he's really good at just punching down the enemy. That really is the key. He also turns green to brown, which then helps charge up all three of these. The Drake Rider, actually a really great unit, and that's not even counting the fact that when he dies he summons a Drake, which is also pretty decent. He converts yellow to red, which then helps charge back up the Orc, and does some splash damage, so a little extra damage. The key thing is the charging the Orc right back up again. And then your main damage caster, in a sense, is going to be Rockgar the Guardian if you have him. If you don't, that's alright. There are replacements. He'll convert blue to skulls, which is wonderful. You're not going to be using blue in this setup, and, turning blue to skulls mean you get to punch the enemy more, which really is the key to this team, is just punching the enemy with a lot of skulls. The 1 to 3 brown mana potions are golden because mana potions create 7 to 11 gems of that color, which if you're matching multiple potions, just as like, hello, yes, I've cleared most of the board and everyone is charged who uses that color. I like the if there's an enemy that's stunned, but for the most part, you're not going to be doing any stunned. He doesn't even do stunned, he just does double damage against stunned enemies. So, I didn't see much stun stuff as well on the Orcs, so I'm not sure where that's meant to be in his own town. I'm going to be using the Cauldron as it doubles an ally's attack, which is useful for 2 characters, primarily whoever you're going to have in front, and the Cyclops, because it does damage boosted by their attack. So being able to double it really helps out the damage. I still think the Orc is going to be much better than the Cyclops in this case, or at least early on. The Cyclops may be much better once you get far into it, but I think for the most part, this is going to be the setup you want to use. Now, if you're looking for some other options, there really aren't too many good ones in the Orc Kingdom, and with Orcs in general. There's only 3 non-Orc Kingdom Orcs. But the good options, other options, are going to be the Cyclops, as denoted earlier. His damage is boosted by his attack, and so with the Cauldron, he can reach absurd levels of damage. He scales incredibly well. The key thing is this scales just slightly better, at least early on. Feldross is also a wonderful character to use. They do some good damage, and the key thing is that they scale based off the enemy magic. So as you rise in levels, or rise in enemy levels, they end up having more and more and more magic. So she ends up doing more and more and more damage. So she'll be quite useful as well. And then there's about 2 more that are decently okay. Actually, I almost forgot. Gorthrum. He's also pretty good because of the fact he destroys a column and then explodes a few gems. It's good mana. Not as good as the Drake Rider, and as such, since he shares the same mana pool, he's not too useful in this case. He's great, but not too great. The Summoner is a pretty decent unit, as he'll give life to all allies, which is quite good in the Orcs I gain bonuses when I take damage, team. And then he summons a meat shield. I mean, it's a bone daemon, but it's going to be used as a meat shield if you're actually summoning it. The final good other unit is going to be Turknala, because she turns green to skulls and big things and inflicts Hunter's Mark on the first enemy. And the reason this is important is because that means you're doing double damage with those skulls that you just, converted. So it's just like, hello, you're dead. The only reason I am not using them is because they turn green to skulls. The orc turns green to brown. So green is already going to be used up, and as such, one of them will not be getting their proper use. And so I have to keep in the orc. But if you don't plan on using the orc, then definitely use Turknala, because she'll make it so much better for the punching damage. This week's character, not for the guild event, but just the weekly event in general, is okay. It's not really that great. He gives life and armor to an ally, which isn't too bad, but it just doesn't really do that much. Like, it's a little bit worse than the summoner, but the summoner gives everyone life, where this single target life and armor is going to be about the same as the summoner's AoE armor. And the summoner summons a meat shield if need be. This guy doesn't, so he's okay, but he's not that great. Now, some possible, this looks like a really good use. This looks like a great character to use. I'm going to try and use this. The Gargantuar seems like it should be really good. I mean, it does a lot of damage, boosted by, allies and enemies who have died, and he gains 8 magic whenever he takes damage. Well, there's a few issues. One, yes, it seems to scale really well, but that damage, 42 points of damage. Let's look at the Drake Rider. It's 28 splash. That's going to be about the same amount of damage. He also turns yellow to red, and only costs 11. He literally costs double the amount. You're going to be doing about the same amount of damage. It's just a normal Drake Rider, and no extra mana from it. You won't be gaining anything more. Now, once you've killed a few enemies or taken a bit of damage, you'll be doing some more damage. But for the most part, you're not going to be taking that much damage, because either the cases are going to be that you take a lot of damage and he dies really quickly, so you maybe get 3 or 4 of those to pop off, or you're fighting a tiny army that are like, pinpricks in his giant hide, and as such, like, even the base amount is going to be doing plenty of overkill. The only cases I can see where he becomes useful is against enemies that are like poison or bleed or burning, where it's a small amount of continual damage, because then it'll just keep ticking it over and over, and so then it could be good. But most cases, he seems cool, but isn't going to be too useful. I hope this info was helpful for both starting and veteran players of Gems of War. If it was helpful to you, give that subscribe button a click, as I plan on doing these every Monday, both to help my guild and for fun. Till next week, have fun plundering. Bye-bye!